Nothing really, but the funny thing is that song, Something to Say, is basically about polarity and how we're all bipolar. It's just different people have different levels of bipolar-ness. To me, that's why I wanted it to be two versions of me. So one version is screaming, I've got something to say, and the laid back version is like, I got nothing to say. So, and no one to love, and I got someone to love. The whole thing is, at first I was going to get Dan to do the backgrounds, and then I thought, well, wait a minute. If this song is about being bipolar, it should just be two versions of myself. The hyper positive one and the mellow negative one. So I think it turned out pretty good. Well, that's the public version. But at the same time, like, I mean, you catch me at my best. When I'm performing, I love being on stage. I love entertaining. I get that from my dad. But everybody has this, sometimes it's a hidden side and sometimes it's not hidden. Like, I know people that wear everything on their sleeve, and those are people that sometimes they're hard to be around. But I think you should just talk about it, get it off your chest, and feel better. Yes, as a matter of fact. It was a play on words, but I like how you've put it. Because everybody talks about mood swings, right? And everybody talks about the twist of fate. So when I just changed the order of the words to make it sound cooler, to me, I don't even know if it had a meaning. So thanks for that. It was magical going in because some of the songs I actually wrote for those particular drummers. Like No Woman of Mine, I had Abel Boyle Jr. in mind. I actually wrote Something to Say with Matt Chamberlain in mind. So it was that kind of thing that when we got into the studio, I was expecting the magic and got the magic. It was pretty amazing. Same thing with Volume 2. We got Tommy Lee on there. Ray Luzier from Korn is on there. Liberty DeVito from Billy Joel fame, he's on that too. It's in every situation. The cool thing about it is that not only do you, like when we were in the studio, we filmed everything, or most of everything, because not only do you see the person's personality on the drums, you see the personality not on the drums, and you see the kind of people that they are. And it's pretty amazing when you see Taylor Hawkins walk into the studio, just a regular guy, and then he sits down behind the kit and he becomes Taylor Hawkins. You get to see all of it, so it's cool. We're calling this the 9-drummer tour because there's 6 on the record, 1 on the poster, another one on the flyer, and another guy on stage. So it just happened that way. Oh, wow. I don't know. I think all drummers are crazy. I really do. I don't think there's a drummer I know that doesn't have a little bit of crazy in him. And that's what's exciting. I love drums. I love drumming. I just suck at it. But being in the studio and being such a huge fan of drums and drumming and having the guys that I've worked with on other people's projects, other artists' records, all that come in and just play a drill song. So basically, everybody just walk in and they were a drill for about 90 minutes while we recorded 3 takes of a song with me, Dan, who's the constant bass player, he's consistency. That's the common denominator, me and Dan. And then the drummer comes in, he's in the band for an hour and a half while we lay down a drill song. And it's exciting for me because I wrote the song. And the other thing that's exciting is Dan wrote a song that we're putting on Volume 2. And he had Ryan McMillan, a friend he was playing with in another band. He's played with Matchbox 20. So We took him into the studio too, recorded dance song and Dan singing his song too. We're gonna play it tonight. Yeah. The amazing thing is I know Tico. He loves his days off, and we were playing in Las Vegas, and hey, we got Sunday off. If I got a studio, would you come in and play on a drill's tune? And he was like, yeah, man, I would do anything for you. And that meant a lot. But then him actually coming to the studio, and I sent him 2 songs, and I go, which out of these 2 do you want to do? He went, I'm gonna do that one. So we went in and we did that one. And the funny thing about it is that since we recorded his drums to that song, I've changed the song a lot, but his drums still fit because he's just awesome. It's kind of funky. It's kind of our David Bowie's Fame meets Last Child by Aerosmith. There's a little bit of that funkiness going on. If the world was upside down. I don't think you would. I still customize guitars so that I like a guitar to have a personality, and to me, it's like, I'll change the pickup, or I'll do something crazy like put an action figure inside one of the pickup holes. It's, to me, the sound-wise, as long as it's these hands playing the guitar, it's gonna sound like me. No, actually, it wasn't. I mean, it helps. When you're in a mega band and you play in stadiums and in arenas, of course, the company is getting great advertising. So, but in this case, it's just they approached me and said, hey, we really like your personality. And I really knew it when I was sitting in the head of Gibson's office in Nashville. And I got excited about something. I go, all right! And he goes, oh man, I've been waiting for that all day. I wake up every morning and I watch a Fred Americana video to hear you say, hey man, it's Phil X! And then I get my day going. And I'm like, oh, so you really want me to play Gibson? Anyways, all the guys that I loved watching when I was growing up as a young guitar player were Gibson players. So it just seemed like the right choice. I had an issue with Gibson years ago because I thought their quality control was subpar. So since then, they've been taken over by new people and made modifications to the factory. I had the tour of both factories in Nashville, and I was blown away. I thought, this is amazing. And it's a happy bunch of people building guitars there too. They love what they do. So it seemed like, wow, this is a great family to be a part of. Wow. I mean, it's all perspective, isn't it? I mean, you can walk around and think that there are no limits, and you can think the opposite. Like, I'm sure that I've had both emotions of, you feeling like you can conquer anything, and then sometimes you just feel like you're being held down or back, and you can't take the world the way you want to take it. I have a great example of a friend who was making really, really good money as an engineer in town, in LA, and then budgets, just record companies like, well, we're not selling music anymore, so let's just cut the budgets for all these records that we're doing. So they cut these budgets. So when you cut a budget on a record, the producer gets less, the engineer gets less, the musicians get less, everyone gets less. So it's a sliding scale that's never slid so far either way. So I ran into him, and we did a session together before I left. And I go, how you doing? He goes, well, I'm kind of making a fifth of what I used to make. And I'm like, well, how you taking it? And he said, I'm doing great. I just, instead of driving a Porsche, I drive this. I live in the same house, and we love it. We don't need to move. And he kept going on about how awesome it was. And I thought, wow, if more people dealt with hard times, if that's what you want to call it like that, the world would be a better place. It's having a positive attitude. I don't think it's how much money you make. I mean, people think, because I play with Bon Jovi, I make a ton of money. The truth is, I make good money. But, I have kids, and I want them to have the best things, and I want my wife to have whatever she needs and whatever she wants to be happy. And I think if you have a positive outlook, it's a better life, Well, look at us. Like, even on this tour, we had to cancel the last half of the tour. So when we wanted flights the next day, we're paying stupid prices. So I'm not the guy going, oh, whatever it takes, spend it. I'm not that guy. I'm like, okay, so if it's going to cost that, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I'm shuffling stuff around. And when I get home, I got to work my ass off so I can pay for us Lionel. And, we're making half the money that we were going to make on this whole tour. We're making half the VIP packages. We're going to sell half the merch. We're going to sell half all the other items that we had at the merch table. So at the end of the day, when I get home, I got to hustle and make money for my family. I do. Actually, the one host, Greg, it's escaping me now, Greg Grunberg, his son, this is why Greg started doing this whole thing, because his son has epilepsy, and he's dealing with it really great. He was at the show, and we were hanging out a little bit. I also have friends who have children that have epilepsy, and it's tough, man. Like, seeing a child go through a seizure is scary. So I couldn't imagine being a parent dealing with that all the time. So my heart goes out to them. I've been part of many fundraisers in Los Angeles, and I'm missing one this month because I missed one because I was here, and it was for MS. I have a friend who has MS, and she does this, I think it was the 8th annual event, and she raised a lot of money for the awareness. I also have, we had a friend whose daughter had leukemia, and this was going back a few years ago, and their daughter was the same age as my son, who is 6 now, and that's why we got really involved in her case, because it could have been our son. You get really attached to something like that. And then we put on an event at the Whiskey, and we had Steel Panther headline, and the Drills played, and we had another opening act, and we got all we could for signatures on instruments and drum heads and sticks and all that stuff, so we could auction everything off. And we raised quite a bit of money for them. And when I say we, it was my wife Lindy and I that we put the whole thing together. And that's a lot of work. But every year I donate to a guitar, or usually a guitar, to St. Jude's Hospital, or cancer research, or something like that. Something that gets, raise not just funds, but awareness. You're right. It's two things. Like in 2013, like my dad passed from cancer in 2005, and he fought it for 11 years. So I have a weakness when it comes to that. But in 2013, I was backstage on one of the Bon Jovi shows, and this lady came with her 12-year-old daughter, and at the time her 12-year-old daughter was terminal with cancer. So they gave me a bunch of shirts that said "Beat Cancer," and the website on the back was to raise awareness for, hey, kids get cancer too. So it's raising awareness for that. And I kept wearing the shirt and kept wearing the shirt. And then in 2017 they came back, and our daughter was in college and fine. So that's an amazing story to me. I love sharing that story because, like I said, I lost my dad, so I know the sad stories. So hearing a positive, happy ending is amazing to me. I'm gonna say lately, there hasn't been a lot. I get, you know, who's really inspiring? My boss. John's really inspiring. He's really inspiring because he's always doing something for a cause, and you know, the Soul Kitchen, and you know, putting the song out for the veterans. It's just something really that's raising awareness. Like, I know a few veterans, and I'm curious. I'm the what was it like guy, you know, and hearing stories and seeing people go through stuff, and even if they come back with all the limbs and all the parts and everything working, there's still that emotional change. I mean, it's the world is pretty much what you make it. I feel like if you can be yourself and create something that you can totally put your heart behind, then you can make other people happy. But it has to be real. It has to be honest. You can't, like, that's why when I see an artist and they're jumping on a bandwagon, they're not really doing what they do, and it sounds phony to me. So, and I guess my message is deep in the entertainment field because that's what I do. And I like making people happy. And people always say, and to a fault almost, I always have a bright side. You know what I mean? Like, I have could be worse. People are like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. I go, it could be worse. And they're like, how? And then I list like 5 things, and they're like, yeah, that's all worse. I mean, if you think like that and go through life like that, and like, it could always be worse. Obviously it could be better, but you're striving to make it better, and you can always make it better.